Cadia and Reach. Arguably the two biggest failures, one would say, military failures and falls in their respective franchises of Halo and Warhammer. But which one really was worse than the other? Like, which failure and which fall of their planet was worse than the other? I'm going to talk about that. And keep in mind, as always, this is just my personal opinion, and this is just how I see it. If you think it should one way or the other, that's totally fine. I always want to hear your people's reasons down below. I'm always excited to hear other people talk about this kind of situation. So yeah, we're going to talk about the fall of Cadia and Reach, and which one was arguably worse for the Imperium or the UNFC. So let's talk about Cadia first. Of course, Cadia stands the guard. The planet broke before the guard did, all of that. But still, the planet blew up because Abaddon decided to pull a 9/11 and just proceed to go, lol, boom. Take a black rock fortress, a black stone fortress, and just fucking play bumper cars with the planet. But yeah. So Reach held out for 13 Black Crusades, and admittedly, Cadia held out as long as it could. With the help of of several notable Space Marine chapters, you have the assistance of a ton, and I do stress a ton, of guardsmen. Even the Necrons, even Trazyn offered his help to, into fighting this on the same side. Same with some of the Eldar were actually helping. In fact, it was because of the Eldar that Belisarius managed to get off the planet. And Belisarius also worked with Trazyn to get the pylons trying to work. So it was a kind of united effort in some way or another. Now, the fall of Cadia was a massive. It took now. Here's the thing: in storyline, in universe, it was I would say a year, 2 long year war. But in regular time, it took 6-7 years to get past Cadia. Is story wise. I'm shocked that we're moving the story along as fast as we are in Warhammer now, because Warhammer 40k is notorious for being slower than a snail. Let's be honest. But again, Cadia was a massive game changer. Chaos had dealt a massive blow to the Imperium and to the galaxy at large. It more or less split the galaxy down the middle, leaving the Imperium and the Imperium Segmentus, or the Imperium Nihilus, excuse me, the Imperial Nihilus, in which, yeah, it's pretty shitty on that side of the fence. And also, it more or less split the forces of the Imperium on both sides. Now, the thing of it is, the Imperium still kept going despite the fall of Cadia and the Eye of Terror spreading like a wildfire across the galaxy. On that other end of that spectrum, you have Reach. Reach was essentially aside from Earth, Reach was the biggest planet for resources and military in the army. When they were fighting, when the UNFC was fighting the Covenant, Reach was meant to be kept secret. It was meant to be hidden and safeguarded from the Covenant. And when they found it, they didn't even realize it was Reach. They were just looking for artifacts. They were just looking for old Forerunner tech, just so they could just steal it. They didn't realize it was. The Covenant didn't even realize it. But once they did, then it was like playing not fucking around. You see, whereas the Imperium managed to hold their own for a good amount of time and actually came close to fighting Abaddon off, it wasn't until Abaddon went, fuck it, I'm gonna crash into this planet. It wasn't like that with the UNSC. They were throwing everything at the Covenant. It wasn't like, oh yeah, we're so close to victory, and what the fuck is that coming out of the sky? It was more like, throw everything we have at a fraction of the Covenant fleet. They were the Covenant army was only using half its power by the end of the war with Reach. It was several, like, I think, like 3 months in total. And in that time frame, there was nothing that the UNSC military could do. They were throwing ships. They were throwing everything. Hell, the planet even created, like, there was a Category 5 hurricane that happened on the planet. It was almost like the planet itself was trying to get the Covenant off. So, in there, you also had the Spartans fighting desperately, although most of them were sent on a mission to, capture a prophet, because God knows, Ani can't do anything right. Halo players, you know what I'm talking about. Or real Halo lore fans, you know what I'm talking about, I should say. But when Reach fell, it was devastating. It was basically... It wasn't like with Cadia, where they could still keep the Imperium, because it was so vast and massive, they could still keep going. No, when Reach fell, everyone thought that was it. Like everyone on Earth knew the Covenant have just effectively won, because it wasn't just losing Reach. They had lost a massive amount of their fleet, like a quarter, like almost like 60% of their military, and nearly all of the Spartans were wiped out as well. And everyone kind of figured that the Covenant were coming for Earth next. No, it was only because, quick thinking from Noble Six, who's dead, by the way. I don't want to hear any, Noble Six lives. No, Noble's dead. Noble Team's gone. Aside from the Noble thing, because I'm going to get into a whole rant about that. But, yeah, the team itself, the Spartans, gone. Military, gone. Everything. The planet itself was also a massive manufacturing plant for the rest of the military. It was a massive supply line, and losing that, it was like you just cut the head off the snake for the human race. It was only through sheer luck that the Spartan Master Chief managed to destroy, just wreck house for the next 3 games. So yeah. When it comes down to it, on the other end of that spectrum, back with Cadia and the fallout of that led to, the Eye of Terror has split the Imperium apart. They are now, planets are disconnected from each other, and Chaos just got a big upseat. But in doing so, that led to Yvraine, Belisarius, and St. Celestine using their combined strength to go to Macragge and wake up Rabute Guilliman, thus leading to Hope being reborn in the Imperium. Yeah, it got so bad, they had to wake up a Primarch. They had to bring the Avenging Sun back to, what is essentially a hellscape for the Imperium. That wasn't the case with Reach. Whereas with Reach, it was like, we're fucked. Like, that's it. We're done. Like, the only reason they got away was because Pillar of Dawn managed to, zip out of there, and, with Cortana, and it led to the events of Halo. But at the time, it wasn't like with the Imperium, where the High Lords of Terror were like, what happened? Fuck it, I got drugs to do. It was, and also, that led to the return of Rabute Guilliman. Over down that, no one was coming back. No one was coming to save them. And I think also, the other thing of why Reach is very important is because there was a... Hang on. Let me kind of pull something out real quick. And I'm going to say this right now. I think the fall of Reach was more devastating than the fall of Cadia on several levels. The first being is that this was a whole game. You were there. It isn't like with, Warhammer, where it's like you're told through books, or... I mean, yeah, there are supporting books with Reach. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of supporting novels with Reach. But at the same time, there was this whole thing of, tabletop and all of that. It didn't feel like you were boots on the ground on that battlefield. Whereas with Reach, I mean, yeah, the stakes are... You could argue that the stakes were higher of the Eye of Terror tearing ass across the galaxy, but here you felt it. You felt like, this is hopeless, this is pointless, I don't know what to do. I'm also going to bring up something, and this is just kind of a personal thing for me. I started playing this game again. I played this game years ago, but I replayed it, and I played it during the time when Russia was in the early days when Russia was invading Ukraine. And there was this moment, and you probably know which mission I'm going to be talking about, for the diehard Halo players, when there's this moment where you have to, like, get troops, like, use this aircraft to, like, go through the city and, like, assist troops, and they're screaming everywhere. There's fire in the city. You can't save everyone. And it's in that moment it's hopeless. Like, it's done. Like, this war is just over now, and there's nothing you can do other than survive. And, in that moment, I couldn't help but think, like, this is what an invasion feels like. This is what, I don't think I felt very few games, but Halo Reach is definitely one where you definitely feel that sense of, we're done. Like, this is what an invasion feels like. Even though it is from an alien faction, this fear and overwhelming, like, we're cooked, essentially. So, Cadia on a galactic scale was something, but on a personal level, I personally believe Reach was far more devastating. Because the UNFC is not like the Imperium. The Imperium, in theory, even though half of it basically got cut in half, it could still keep going, and no one would notice. That's not the case with the UNFC and Earth in the Halo universe, where the Covenant have just effectively kneecapped the entire military, and now they're going to Earth. And yeah, it was only through, like, sheer dumb luck with Master Chief that proved otherwise. And I'm not talking about, like, the other games too, because I know someone's gonna be like, but the games are still going with all of that. What about Halo? Yeah, let's not talk about that. But yeah, so that's just my personal opinion. Is that I think Reach was much more devastating than the fall of Cadia on a personal level, on a everything level, if I'm being honest. But you guys tell me in the comments below, what do you think which fall was worse, Cadia or Reach? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.